Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Another NBA slate here for you guys on Thursday with 7 games to choose from. I'm going to be sticking to Playa Props in this one as I do not like the sides or totals that we're facing here with kind of a weird slate on Thursday, which sometimes you see with a bunch of teams on back-to-backs, etc. I slacked last night on getting the projections to you, still dealing with the time zone shifts, but we are back here with the picks tonight, and I do want to show you the schedule upcoming as well because we're right back into it after this video. Tonight, I'm going to be getting up Friday projections and early best bets video for you guys for everything on Friday. Pretty nice slate for that one. Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, also going to be throwing up another video with those final bets and play a prop predictions as well. The night before, usually can't get out all of the player props I want because of the fact that they don't put those lines out. We do get an early look at these best bets on the sides and totals though. And when there are those player props or best bets that I already have ready on Friday, or I'm sorry, the night before games, then I go ahead and get that stuff out to you. Same concept then on Saturday and Saturday afternoon. We're going to be getting stuff out Friday night for Saturday's projections. Also going to be getting Saturday a video out at 3 p.m. Eastern at the latest. I know I'm slacking a little bit on these videos. I'm going to be getting out to you here probably closer to 1 p.m. Eastern on this Thursday video right now. But this is what you can expect every single day as we move forward. No more days off, no more vacations, none of that kind of stuff. Before I get into the best bets, a couple more housekeeping things that I want to get through to you guys as well. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the page. It is super helpful. I see a bunch of you coming in there now. So for all the new people, welcome aboard. Let's keep rocking with it. Jump in the comments. As always, a lot of you giving your thanks for me coming back, and I really, really appreciate it. It's good to know that I was missed, but won't be missing me anymore as we're coming back with a vengeance moving forward. And then the last thing is just be nice to each other in the comments. Some people who might want to defend me when people don't agree with my picks, don't worry about that crap. If you don't agree with my picks, let me know. I do not care. I'm not going to come in here and be like, well, that hurts my feelings. Like, no, I want to know what you guys think. If you don't like the picks, that's totally fine. I'm going to bet what I bet, as you see with the ones that I give you. And if you don't take all of it, that's great. A couple people let me know that they won all their bets because they didn't take De'Aaron Fox assists last night. Smart. That was, I tried to overthink that one. He ended up with 44 points. Kind of thought about the points and assists, and I didn't go for it. Either way, everybody in here that has some intelligence to bring in the comments, bring it, and don't trash what everybody else has to say. You don't like it, move the hell on. That's all, right? All right. Best bet, now that I've played teacher or like school principal or whatever I think I am right now. Let's go with my favorite bet here. Another 1.2 units on Pascal to go under tonight against the best defense in the league against Minnesota here tonight. And they are at home, but this is not the Pacers team of a month or two ago, right? We've seen things slow down a ton since Pascal joined the squad and Bruce Brown jettisoned out, right? He's in Toronto now. So the 20.5 points for him, I just think is too high in a game against Minnesota where they're going to be defending his position as well as anybody else in the league does that. They have the 4th fewest points allowed to the shot profile that Pascal shows us. Another quick shout out to Courtside Pal. That is my preferred place to look at defense versus position matchups rather than FanDuel Fantasy Pros, which I still use from time to time, but it's way more accurate when you get into Courtside Pal because they show you the type of player that we have, the shot profile. You can see that Pascal shoots from very specific places on the floor, and that's where Minnesota is best at defending, specifically down low, as Pascal's really not even taking very many threes, and he's not hitting them either. So Minnesota limits his position to the 3rd fewest, and he is a pretty traditional power forward with a bit more versatility and handles than most, but not enough to get through this defense where 4 of the 5 starters for Minnesota are in the top 10 rather in terms of individual defensive rating. So he's gone under in 6 of his last 10. And I would just mention that 2 of those games that he went over were versus Toronto, another one versus San Antonio, and another one versus New Orleans. So like though the games that he's gone over in the last 10, those were a lot more of the anomalies to me than what we're facing here. And when he's gone under this, recent power forwards to have any success against this team include Giannis and Triple J. End of list. And I would make very clear, Giannis is superhuman and transcends really any defense you throw at him. And then Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. on Memphis, is taking damn near every shot for that team. 23 field goal attempts in 38 minutes, not numbers that Pascal is going to see to get him to 21 or more points in this one. So I got a full 1.2 units on that to win back about 1.05 on my money. Feeling really good about that one. You know, we hit Tyus Jones under as the favorite bet last night. So let's keep it going here. Jimmy Butler, this has gone up from 28.5 where I hit it, but I will give it to you at 29.5 as well because minus 102 on FanDuel is a pretty good number there to get basically your full unit back on the Jimmy Butler bet for him to get at least 30 points and assists combined. We're talking about Jimmy Buckets without Tyler Hero, without Kevin Love, without Josh Richardson. Most importantly, Tyler Hero, right? And he's gone over in 3 of his last 4 without Hero. Things just sort of change when Hero's not out there. He's definitely a guy that's a little bit more the focal point on offense, especially behind the 3-point line, where he and Duncan Robinson are really the main threats from deep, as well as Kevin Love, who's not playing for this Miami team now that they don't have the Max Struces and Gabe Vincents of the world on their squad anymore. Since the All-Star break for Jimmy, which is relevant because I do think it's time for Miami to shine or basically or get off the pot because of the fact that they really want to fight for a top 6 seed. I don't think they want to have to mess with the play-in tournament again. And I do see Jimmy coming out a little bit stronger, to about 26 points per game and 6.5 or so assists, a little bit more than that, since the All-Star break, right? And that's with about a 28%, 27.7% usage rate. Usage rate, for those who don't know, is how often are you taking the shots on offense for your team. And the field goal attempts continue to go up for Jimmy Butler when he's on the floor. All these numbers since the All-Star break are despite a really bad field goal percentage for him, especially on drives to the rim, where we know that's what he does more than anything. He's only shooting 42% on field goal attempts that he's taking when he's driving to the basket. They're playing Dallas tonight. That is not a team that has really any sort of defense for guys like Jimmy who go down and try to get all the way to the rim as often as possible, with a few pull-ups about 5 to 12 feet as well. That's predominantly where Jimmy shoots from. I don't even think he's taking a full 3-point attempt per game since the All-Star break, like maybe 1.2 at most. But he's not close to even taking 2 threes a game because he's driving. That is in part probably why his driving field goal percentage is down a little bit. It's where all his shots are coming from, so it's where the misses are going to come from as well. But all those numbers were with the low field goal percentage and versus better defenses, like way better defenses than this Dallas team, which continues to struggle down low, even with Daniel Gafford, even with Derek Lively coming back. Daniel Gafford has not really helped this team out, as they're still allowing basically the most points per game to centers, as we'll see, and guys who are going to the rim. He's still not getting the sort of defensive protection around the rim that you would want from this team, who is allowing basically the highest field goal percentage once you get into the paint for the Dallas Mavericks. They also are allowing the 9th most points per game to Jimmy's shot profile. Another shout out to Courtside Pal, because it is very important that we see where guys are shooting from, not just what their position is or is listed as, sometimes incorrectly, on these other websites. So we do like Jimmy to get his points and assists tonight as a bit more of a playmaker. Bam, I just like for the points. And I do think it's somewhat correlated because Bam does get these points a little bit more without Tyler Hero. Assists don't quite go up as much. You actually see Jimmy Butler turn into a lot more of the facilitator and playmaker than you do Bam, who even when Tyler is on the court, or without Jimmy Butler, more importantly, Bam's a bit more of the facilitator. He plays a lot of that point center, gets a few more assists without those guys in there. But with Jimmy Butler in there, I do expect him to be the guy who's diming a bit more. His potential assists go up without Tyler Hero. Bam's don't necessarily rise too greatly without Hero in the game. As I mentioned about Gafford, not exactly helping down low. Dallas is still allowing the 2nd most points per game, 2 centers over the last 7. And Bam does turn into pretty much a true center, especially when Jimmy Butler's out there. I say that knowing true centers often play with their back to the basket. Bam's still not doing that, but I actually prefer he doesn't do that. He needs to use his quickness against a really tall, slightly slower-footed player like Daniel Gafford, rather than trying to go to the rim. That's why Dallas is still allowing the most points per game to Bam's shot profile, right? Because he is a center, but more importantly than being a center, he's a dude who plays a lot more with his back, his front to the basket rather than his back to the basket. And that's because he is quicker than guys that are too big for him. That's why we see him getting points despite playing against guys who are giving up like at least 4 inches to, let's say, right? Like Daniel Gafford's a healthy 7'1". Bam's not pushing 6'10". Like he's pushing 6'10". Like don't talk to me about Bam being 6'11" in any way. He's closer to 6'9" than he is to 6'10". But moving on from that, he's averaging a few more points per game without Tyler Hero this season. Goes up to 22 a game from about 20. And Dallas is still allowing a ton of second chance points. A huge part of this as well is when Daniel Gafford goes up to block guys like Jimmy Butler when they're driving to the rim. That's where Bam is now left wide open to come in and get those second chance points, little easy dunk tap ins and stuff like that. So I think those tap ins will be there for him. I think the offensive boards will be there for Bam. And this is a good bet for him to get the 20.5 points. If there's a 19.5 points hanging around, obviously take that. But I like this one for him to get at least 21. And now we get into the Dubs and the back-to-back that they have against Chicago, who is also visiting and on a back-to-back, also playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. And Chicago's defensive rating jumps up to about 117.5 when they play on back-to-backs this season. So they're not the sort of same grind it out and really earn their keep on defense type of team when they play on back-to-back. So The other more important thing here is that the Dubs and Steve Kerr play his young guys on back-to-backs way more than he does not, right? Like now we've got, not only is it a situation of no rest for this Warriors team, you've got Chris Paul, who just came back from injury right after the break. You've got Draymond Green, just came back from injury like a week or 2 weeks ago. And you've got Andrew Wiggins, who just came back last night and played about 13 and a half minutes in his re-debut, whatever you want to call it, return to the lineup after missing a bunch of games. Enter Brandon Podziemski. I also like Jonathan Kuminga, but we'll talk about that in a sec. B-Pod here, we're going for the points and rebounds, and I think we've gotten this number down low enough that it's time to go over for him. You knew he was going to see some decrease in the quality of his minutes and usage rate as soon as Chris Paul came back. That's a big part of why we started to see Brandon Podziemski's output really over all these stats, points, rebounds, and assists, go right up without Chris Paul in there. He became the sort of de facto point guard of the second unit, but also was getting a lot more time starting, which he probably will do tonight if he's not the first guy off the bench in this one against Chicago. That's why you see here with him on no rest. I'm looking at the last 9 games of no rest for B-Pod because like before that, he wasn't getting minutes. Nobody was. Like there was a change in the season around the middle of December or so, 17th or so of December was right when you started to see Steve Kerr be like, all right, I got to play these young dudes, right? And obviously Draymond went down and that helped a bunch as well. But just as importantly is that since Draymond and Chris Paul have come back, you still see Brandon Podziemski getting a ton of run on these back-to-backs. On no rest overall in these last 9, 32 and a half minutes per game, about 13 points, 7 boards exactly per game, right? Gets us comfortably over the 16 with him getting about 20 PR combined. Even with CP3 back, he's gone under in 4 straight, right? Since this the All-Star break, he's gone under 4 straight games without CP3. But if you look at the last 3 with Chris Paul playing and no rest for this Warriors team, he's right back up to about 12 points per game and 6 boards per game in that time frame. So I continue to really like he and the other young guys for this Warriors team. We saw a really good team win for them last night against Milwaukee. I think they'll continue to play Steph a lot. I think Steph's probably pretty good for assists as well in this one, but I'm going to run with Podziemski to get the points and rebounds. I do want to make clear I'm betting Steph over 4.5 assists. I'm going to throw that in there at the end, but that is a bet that I'm taking here for him against Chicago and Alex Caruso. I think that's a really good play as well, but still love B-Pod for the rebounds and the points. And then I'm going to throw a little same game parlay together for a half a unit because I do want to get some Kuminga stuff in there, but I have a little bit less confidence in him than I do B-Pod in this situation. So we'll take Podziemski to get 10 plus points, and we'll take Kuminga to get 15 plus points in this one. Just looking at Kuminga, because I just told you about Podziemski. On no rest, it's the same concept. His last 9, same time frame, about the 17th of December was the last time they played the first, it was 9 games ago with no rest for them, right? And that was when you saw him get 28 minutes per game, 17.5 points per game since that time frame. So I still feel comfortable with the 15 for him. The 16.5 is still probably a low number if you want to get that, even ladder it to 20 because you're feeling good about Kuminga, that's fine. But we're seeing a lot of minutes taken by guys like Moses Moody getting a lot more time and stuff like that. We don't have any props for Moses Moody, but I do think there's the opportunity for some of those lesser known dudes to get more run in this one. And Steve Kerr happy to just go with a bit more of a strength in numbers tactic. For Kuminga, though, gotta love playing the Chicago Bulls team, and he is going to be in a position where he's going to the basket and sort of playing a role on the floor that has been really successful for a lot of guys playing against this Bulls team over the course of the last 7 games and really the last 15 games for the Bulls. I hate to say it because I at one point didn't really give much respect to Pat Williams. And I think it's clear now that he deserves a lot more respect than he was getting. And I think Bulls fans will probably agree with me. Those were the ones who reached out and gave me a lot of shit when I said that Pat Williams was kind of soft. And I still kind of think he's kind of soft, but he's been really good on D and he's out, right? But I think for the season now, at least for a while, and probably the season for Pat Will, he's not going to be coming back. They don't have a power forward now to defend against this type of player in Jonathan Kuminga. We've seen him last time he played was without Pat Will as well. Last 2 versus Chicago, where he's at least gotten 20 plus minutes, he's looking at 24.5 a game in about 25.5 minutes per game. So you've got to keep giving him the ball in the minutes, especially on no rest. And like I said, Chicago's allowing a lot more points per game to his profile and to his to power forwards in general over the last 7 and 15 games because they haven't had the same level of defense in there without Pat Williams and really no actual good substitute to come in. Torrey Craig, I believe, is doubtful. He might play, but still, that would be the best matchup for Kuminga, and he's only looking at like 15 minutes a game for Torrey Craig. So no one really out there to handle him. So we'll add him to the Podziemski stuff and just go for the points for these 2 young guns to get minutes and usage tonight. That's all the time I got. Let's run through these bets. I love to be able to show you with that same game parlay that we're putting out 4.7 units, and we are looking to get a max return of 4.7 units back. So we've got pretty much even money out there with that nice plus 175 on the same game parlay. But we got Pascal as the favorite bet. We got 1.2 units on him to get under 21. We've got Bam out of the Bayou over 20.5 points. Like I said, I hit that at over 19.5, but it's minus 140, and I don't think there's any more hanging around. So you got to take him to get 21 or more. Jimmy Buckets, same concept. He's gone up a little bit. So these are a little bit popular bets. I hate betting alongside the public, as you can see, but I still feel good for him to get the 30 points and assists in this one against the Mavs, where I do think there's going to be a few more points in this game with the Mavs and Heat in Dallas. It's just the Heat have to come along, because I do think Dallas is going to get theirs tonight. Coming home, 3 losses in a row for Dallas. Now they come back home after being on the road. This is where you would expect them to have a bounce back for sure. I'll also add, whenever you expect the Miami Heat to lose is when they win. So I think that I'm taking 2 of the Heat players to score in this one, rather than trying to rely on figuring out who's going to score for Dallas outside of Luka, who's at 33.5 points in this one. But Golden State Warriors, same game parlay is the final bet there, with B-Pod and Kuminga 10 plus for Pajemski, 15 plus for JK. Let's take a quick look at how we did yesterday. I'm very happy to report 3-2, but more than happy to report the 0.8 units that we made. Now, you usually see, if you just play straight up numbers, if you go 3-2, you're probably not even looking at plus money. You might have lost a 0.2, 0.3 kind of units day. But because we put the Tyus Jones 1.5 units down to win 1 full unit back on a bet I felt great about. If you took the under 8.5, like I said, was a good bet as well, and got plus money, Mazel Tov, because that's awesome as well. DeMar DeRozan is who I mean by DDR. He had a great second half with 21 points to get us over that. And LBJ, the Kang, never in doubt. You're probably wondering why I took Sack in LA under 239.5. I'm still wondering that as well. I thought I overthought it. Should have left that one alone. D Fox also overthought it. He had 44 points. I thought about the points and assists combined and just stayed away from that and went for the assists. But the books wanted us to do that, and I fell for the trap. That's my bad. We move forward, though. Still really nice on the season. Over 25 units made. Almost 34 units now on the Playa Props. We keep climbing there. I look to be at 40 of those easy by the time March is over. I heavily expect to be at 40+ units on the Playa Props. And the sides and totals, we lost a unit yesterday, but we're still at minus 2.9 after being at about minus 10 or 11 as recently as a month ago. So we continue to trend in the right direction there. Finally got a parlay in here for you that we'll look at and add to the record after we hit 0.5 units for plus 175 tonight. And that is all the time that I have. Once again, appreciate everybody following along. Again, jump in those comments. Treat each other with respect. Don't tell anybody to shut up or anything like that. That's stupid. I don't want anybody to shut up. In fact, you're hurting me when you tell other people to shut up. I want them to be jumping in. Let me know what you guys are betting tonight. Let me know if you don't like what the hell I had to say here. Thursdays often are a little weird and wonky as far as the NBA goes. So tread lightly. Best of luck. And until I see you next, which is tonight, happy betting.